Well, this is Bill Boerum. Once again, very happy to convene this meeting of citizen diplomats and other interested parties from across the United States and Russia. So we're going to be talking about a number of topics this morning, and we've just started our meeting. And let me mention we've got two speakers to lead off, and then some introductions and some updates of things we've been working on. So let me first introduce my friend Alex Rodzianko, who is the president. There he is, looking very casual today, as most of us are. And so very happy that he can join us. Alex is the president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Russia. And I'm almost tempted to go on and talk about the organization because it's so wonderful doing good work. But I'll leave that to Alex. It's his assignment. But I will mention a couple of things very quickly, and that is how we first met. I was on my way to Russia, probably to speak at a conference in Volgograd, and I was spending a day or two in Moscow. And on the way, I was reading the Wall Street Journal, and there was something about trade or something going on in Russia, and Alex's name was mentioned, and I had never met him before. So I got to Moscow and called him up, and we quickly arranged to met at the Ritz-Carlton just before he was conducting a very successful meeting with Kudrin, who was then out of the government, but now back in. So he was very gracious to invite me to that. And I try to visit with him every time that I'm in Moscow. And therefore I'm happy to have his hospitality. But I'll also say that we had quite an event back, I think it was in November of 19. We had a tasting of California wine, and that might have been a record turnout of that. And it was quite an evening that we had there, about 150 to 200 people. So anyway, Alex, great to see you again, and very happy to have you as a speaker.
Well, thank you, Bill, for having me. It's an honor to speak to this group, and my pleasure. So would you like me to just go ahead and dive in?
Go right ahead and tell us about the mission and the activities of the chamber, AmCham, as they call it in many places, and perhaps how these U.S. members, U.S. city members that we have that have partnerships in Russia, might be able to utilize your services. And of course, we have a number of Russian representatives here also from across the country, actually.
Well, thank you. So the American Chamber of Commerce in Russia is an organization that's supported by and funded by its member companies. And those are the usual suspects. A lot of American companies operate in Russia, have done so for many century, some of them for over a century, and do so successfully. We were set up as the American Chamber of Commerce back in 94, recognized by the U.S. Chamber and given the right to have that name. I'm managed and supervised by a board of 26 leaders of American companies that are elected each for a 2-year term. So we meet the board meets with me. They give guidance, and we are the ones who are charged with fulfilling the mission. So what is the mission? The mission is to make business conditions for our member companies better in Russia. And now, what does that mean? That means essentially standing up and being the collective voice of our member companies, and we cover sector in the economy. Before the Russian government, but over the past 6 years, of the 7 that I've been in the chamber, also the U.S. government is a major player through the sanctions that are imposed on Russia as a result of differences in policy and policy arguments that the US government and the Russian government has. To the surprise of many, where there are lots of American companies that continue to operate in Russia. If you read the newspapers, you would think the coast was cleared, but no, business continues. The sanctions that we operate under are not blanket prohibitions on doing business, restrictions on types of business. So within those restrictions, companies manage and companies thrive. So I can't go through a full list because we have 450 member companies, but I'll give you a sense of the blue chips that make up our chamber. Those would include the tech area like Google, Microsoft, Intel, Oracle, and on the other side, the industrials like Exxon, like General Electric, like Boeing. All of them do good business. And of course, very successful in Russia are the FMCG companies like Mars, Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, McDonald's. They're all essentially doing great business in Russia and continue to do so. So that's the broad mission. Now, how do we? Let me tell you a few examples. What if the question comes up when I was a banker is, what have you done for me recently, Alex? So what has the chamber done recently for our members? Well, this past year has been a COVID year for all of us, including for our companies. And that COVID basically caused countries to close their borders and to restrict travel, which is understandable, which is certainly not unusual around the world. Pretty much every country's done that. On the other hand, for business, it's important and in many cases imperative to travel in spite of COVID. There are projects that won't get running unless specialists come in, kickstart the operation, tune the equipment. There are companies that are run by expatriates, people whose country might be the US or a European country, would be restricted from traveling, and beyond them, it would be their families. Many of them live in Russia, their families live in Russia. When the curtain came down, and that was back in March, many were on holiday with their families during spring break or winter break. And the curtain came down, and then all of a sudden, nobody can come in, do their job. A lot of companies have moved to remote operation. Some continue many continue to be in remote, but still, if you're the GM, you have to be there sometimes. And being guys stranded outside or stranded inside, it was a difficult thing. So we spent a lot of time lobbying the Russian government to allow, with the proper protocols, to allow movement. First, it was the people who would set up the systems to get an investment rolling, the super specialists that are required to do that. They were given permission. Second, we got what are called highly qualified specialists, which is a category the Russian government sets up for essentially highly paid expatriate employees. And there, the Russian government said, okay, if you have a fresh COVID negative test and you have our permission, then you can go ahead and come in. Very cumbersome, case by case system. And it did not include families. So, for example, I was in Russia with my wife from January, and we never left until October. In October, both of us went back to the States. I wanted to be in the States to vote, my wife as well, also to see our kids.
Stuffed cabbages.
Permission permission to come back to Russia.
Fucking saved the taxes and it didn't save. I'm so fucking pissed.
Let's make sure we're all muted. Okay.
So yeah, taxes are a problem. Anyhow, I did get permission. My wife did not. That was a problem that I began to share and understand how expat employees felt when their families are stranded on one side of the border, they're on another. Schools were disrupted. Schooling was disrupted. So we lobbied the Russian government again and again, and we did it. We didn't do it ourselves. We did it with every other business association, including the major Russian business association, and finally got the Russian government to say, okay, families are also allowed back in. And so in January, my wife and I both came back together, and many families were able to be reunited. So we continue, that continues to be an issue because business travel is important. I remember we don't have regular business travel executives that have to come in for a very important meeting, can't do so. When I brought that subject up at my board, one of the board members gave an example. He said, yeah, because one of my senior executives had to have a meeting with a very senior Russian executive, but didn't have a visa to get into the country. So ultimately what they did was they flew a private plane into the airport in Russia. The executive got out, went into a hangar without crossing the border, met with the senior Russian executive in the hangar, left, got back on his plane and left again. So really absurd events take place that are caused by some of these restrictions. So we're certainly waiting for the restrictions to be lifted. And we think even before they're lifted that there should be certain types of travel that have to be allowed just in order to have business continue. So that's the kind of the lay of the land right now. On the US side, we have a problem as well because Russian companies or US companies in Russia employ probably hundreds of thousands of Russian employees. The top layer of those are executives, quite senior in their companies, who need to travel, and most of them have Russian passports. So the US embassy is completely closed now for business in terms of consular services. And they're closed for two reasons. One of them is that the COVID restrictions caused the embassy to completely seal itself off from any contact with the city, with the local population. And that's because they're deathly afraid. They all live on the campus where the embassy is. And they're all afraid that if somebody catches it, everybody catches it, and then the embassy won't be able to function at all. But there's also a US law that says if you need a non-immigrant visa, which would include a business visa, you need to be interviewed in person by a US diplomat or US consular employee. So that's completely stopped. So nobody in Russia who doesn't have a visa can get a visa to the US. Similar problem in the US where the Russian consulates are closed. So if anyone wants to or needs to travel from the US to Russia, it's hard for them to get a new visa. Now the Russian system's a little easier because they don't require a face-to-face conversation. So we're working with the US authorities as well to try to say, okay, we have an unusual circumstance. We have COVID. Maybe you can replace the face-to-face interview, which happens through a glass anyway, with a face-to-face through WebEx or Zoom or Microsoft Teams interview, where we'll help you make sure that you know who you're talking to. So identify the individual. So far, we've planted that seed with the State Department, no success. But we're lobbying them to see if they can consider this an unusual circumstance in which the Secretary of State has the authority to modify or waive the requirement for the face-to-face interview so that we can at least get some business visas being issued, which we think is important for business to continue. So that's that. Then a lot of speculation what to expect from the Biden administration in terms of Russia policy. Obviously, the Biden administration and the Senate and the Congress are busy with other things right now. But the feeling is that there will be certainly a change of style, not necessarily a change in substance, and that substantive relationship is likely to continue to be difficult going forward. At this point, given you've all probably heard of the opposition figure of Alexei Navalny, who's been arrested and sentenced to 2 years, 8 months. I think that was last week. And that's been a big deal because he was allegedly poisoned, allegedly with chemical weapons grade material. That's a cause for a treaty to be triggered, the chemical weapons treaty. That has caused the Russian government to be hypersensitive to any kind of what they perceive to be involvement in Russia's internal affairs. So at this point, anything anybody says about that is immediately weaponized by the Russian side to say, see, he's a foreign agent. See, you're trying to create a revolution here, and that's local domestic politics at work. And that event or that situation is used as a foil. With the Biden administration basically using the Obama playbook, which had a lot to do with how countries behave, what are their values, what is their treatment of dissidents. All of that is another irritant in the way of the relationship, or is likely to be, and is likely to be used by both sides. One in the U.S. because that's the policy. On the Russian side, it's see, they're out to get us kind of thing. So it's a brew that's quite, I guess, quite volatile. And at the same time, we here have to continue to do business. The good news is that both the Russian government and the U.S. government understand that continuing to do business is an anchor or a good thing in the relationship. So that's a little bit where we are. That's the world I live in. And I think with that, I'll stop. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you. That's excellent. An excellent roundup and update, Alex. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure the rest of the participants do as well. I will go on to say that, of course, I think you continue to maintain 2 offices, St. Petersburg and Moscow. Is that not correct?
That is correct. That's right. We have our major office in Moscow with 20 people and 5 people in St. Petersburg. But those 5 people are amazing in how active they are.
And you also, I'll blow your own horn for you, and that is AmCham is the largest business organization in Russia with many companies, not just American companies. Is that not true?
That is true. I'd say 60% of our companies are American, and the rest are split between mostly Europe, but the rest of the world, and Russian companies that join us who have an interest in US business as well.
Right, excellent, yeah. And of course, you maintain the contacts throughout the country, as you indicated. And we were both together in Sochi at the Russian Investment Forum, where we both had been speakers. I think you were a speaker the year before me, and that might have been 19 or 18, I'm not sure. But and I think also at that, go ahead.
It was 17.
That you were the speaker, I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think that following year when I was there, you formed a relationship with MOU or something with an investment group. You might mention about that. That's another form of financing and investment in Russia.
Now, we typically don't do agreements with private investment groups. They can join us as a member, but what we do, where we do sign agreements, is with Russian either business organizations or specialized sector organizations. And we signed an agreement with the group that organizes these conferences. I think that might have been what you're thinking of.
That's right.
Which is called, it just slipped my mind, but they are essentially the organization that does Sochi, and they do the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, and they do the Vladivostok Forum.
Oh, that's Rose Congress. Rose Congress.
Rose Congress, that's right. And we signed with them that we participate and we work with them in these congresses, and we send our representatives. We organize at the St. Petersburg Forum every year. We organize what's called the U.S.-Russia Roundtable, and in SPIF we typically will have a lot of regional meetings. So we have a regional program. A lot of investment in Russia is done outside of Moscow, and the local governments make a big difference in the kind of business environment that you run into. And the Agency for Strategic Initiatives, which is a big think tank around the presidential administration, has a system of grading the business friendliness of the regions, and the governors compete very hard to be business friendly. And we've seen a real difference. Some of the regions are outstanding. Some of the regions just tend to do the job. So we like to go to those where we think they're outstanding. And so do our companies. That's where the investment ends up.
Right.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah. Hi, Tim.
Hi. Our sister city is with Ekaterinburg, and you're headquartered in Moscow and St. Petersburg. How would we effectively work with you, using Ekaterinburg as the example? Can you share with us a context within the city administration, or is it a business counterparts?
Actually, yeah, we work with Ekaterinburg quite a bit. Now, they are an industrial hub in the Urals, and they have what's a once-a-year conference similar to the St. Petersburg and Sochi conference. It's called InnoProm, Innovative Industrial International Congress. Typically, except for last year when all of these congresses were canceled due to COVID, they will do a big industrial fair usually in the month of July. And we've always gone there with a delegation. I think that's a great opportunity if you have a sister city relationship and you can travel. That's the great time to go there. This past year, everybody did a certain sort of Zoom-based or WebEx-based version of it, but they aren't the real thing. So my advice is, once COVID is over and InnoProm is back, that's probably the best time to visit. We're there. The Russian government is there. The local government is there, and they're the if you will, the stars of the show, because that's where industry is based. And it's headed by the government minister who's in charge is the Minister of Trade and Industry, and we have a good relationship with him. We're on his what he calls his strategic consultative committee, and we always participate for a few days in that event. If you happen to be there at the time, which I recommend being the time to go, you'll be able to participate in some of our events and generally meet with the people you need to meet with. They're all there at the time. It's a great city, and it's a great industrial fair, the big one for Russia.
So, and that would include U.S. cities that happen to have presence.
Well, I think if you're a U.S. city with a relationship, you would be more than. Yeah, you could come like Bill did to Sochi. You'd be more than welcome, and you'd have opportunities to meet with the people you need to meet with.
I misspoke. I meant, and that you would have specific contact with the U.S. companies that are working specifically in Ekaterinburg.
Oh yes, we always use that as an opportunity to create a, if you will, it's like a dinner cocktail. It's a round table of all of our member companies that have operations in Ekaterinburg. It's a pretty big group that comes to that conference and is there at the time with senior representatives. So yeah, we do.
That's great. Thank you, Bill. That was great. Yeah.
And thank you, Alex. That's just a wonderful, wonderful display of your connections, knowledge, and how you facilitate trade and investment between many different companies in our two countries. If anyone is interested in contacting Alex, why don't you put it in the chat? Say, Alex, let me have your email or some other indication that you'd like to be in touch. And I'm sure he will be happy to hear from you, not just after this meeting, but also in the future. So he's a terrific resource. So again, thank you very, very much, Alex.
You're more than welcome, Bill. Let me first of all direct you to amcham.ru, spelled AMCHAM.RU, and that's our website. And you'll be able to find my my contacts, my email. I'll also try to put it. I'm using an iPhone, so I don't know if I can do the chat, but I'll try to put my email in the chat as well.
Very good. All right. Well, let's move on to our second speaker, my good friend and colleague in Volgograd, Elena Parubochaya, who is the director of the Center for Public Diplomacy in Volgograd, and which is actually based at Volgograd State University. And I've been delighted to be there a number of times as a speaker, part of the two-day program, which they usually have with the city of Volgograd. And last time, actually, there was about 4 days, 4-day program. So Elena, welcome. And if you would tell us about the mission and the activities of the Center for Diplomacy.
Thank you, Bill. I'm very pleased to address you tonight from my hero city, Volgograd, former Stalingrad. And on the behalf of the Director of the Public Diplomacy Center, let me greet you and present the work of our center. So the center was created as a platform to expand the international ties of the city and the university. A special agreement between the City Hall and the Volgograd State University was signed in 2015. And since then, a number of events have been held together with City Hall. Our mission is to develop international relations, increase participation of non-government organizations, university teachers, students, high school students in the implementation of public diplomacy projects, within a special focus on sister city relations. And let me show the presentation.
Let's see where this is. Share the screen. Nope.
Bill, could you help us and give me the possibility?
Yeah, I didn't know that you were going to do this.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Let me, could you please?
All right.
Okay,
there we go.
I think it's, let me, no.
Oh.
I'm not allowed to demonstrate, but.
I know, let me see where this is, sharing the screen.
Okay, I will continue, but please, because it's better to show the photos. Without photos, it's very difficult just to tell about the events.
Bill, you need to make her a co-host.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
If you.
Thank you too much.
The 3 dots by her name.
Oh
There's
yeah,
a drop-down menu.
Thank you. Make the host. There you go. All right. You got it. You are now the host. Okay. There we go. hold on.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
So, yes, this is the emblem of our city. Let me help. Okay, so you can see the partners of Volgograd, our sister cities. There are many of them, and now you can see the city of Cleveland. We are very happy to be sister cities with Cleveland, and we cooperate with representatives, the heads of the NGO, university colleagues, high school teachers, even with compatriots of the city of Cleveland. And we really cooperate on the regular basis. I'm very happy that I was the first participant of on the first Cleveland Sister City Conference in 2019. I also make presentation there. We visited universities, we visited mayor's office, we also had many meetings with our partners, Global Cleveland. And there was a special event, Russian Community Day, which was organized in the City Hall on the 3rd of May. And a special event you can see on the photos. It was really amazing thing. So that's why I think it's important to show the photos. You can see the round table Volgograd, Cleveland Sister Cities. The event was held in 2019, and you can see our friends from Cleveland. Bill was also the speaker on this forum. As you can see, this is a delegation from Cleveland, and Lisa gave the resolution of recognition to the Deputy Governor, Anna Pisomska. You can see all the photos here as well. And this was a return visit to the delegation. We organized also the cultural program for our Cleveland friends. After the COVID and some COVID restriction, we started to work online, and there were some working seminars. So we decided to launch a site, joint site of our cities, and this was the working seminar with the people who were involved in the creation of the site. There were some university teachers, high school teachers. We also organized virtual teleconference with the help of the Open World. They are also our partners. And we together, there were different representatives of educational institutions of two cities, universities, schools. We discussed the ways we may cooperate and exchange educational practices during pandemic period. We also continue in touch. This is the second Cleveland Sister City Conference, and it was held online. Bill, he's our regular partner. He's not from the city of Cleveland, but I'm very happy to deal with him because he does a very great job. He really connects people, and we met with him several years ago during the Forum of Public Diplomacy, and since then we are keeping in touch, and he's also the participant of all our roundtables when we gather together to talk about the sister cities relations. So Bill participated in Volgograd Dialogue, our international forum. It was online, and he was expert. We organized 30th year. It was anniversary. We celebrated the anniversary, 30 years of sister cities relations between Cleveland and Volgograd. And you can see the names of our partners. There were many people from Cleveland. You can see Bill. You may see them, Mr. Staravata, the man who signed the agreement between Cleveland and Volgograd. Our partners from University of Cleveland, my main partner, the president of the Council of International Program, Lisa Purdy, Neil Duffett. He's not from Cleveland, but we are also working on our joint project for Cities for Peace. I So Neil is also here. I'm very happy to see Neil. Unfortunately, I can't see all of my Cleveland partners here, but I know you can see there are many of them. Alex Silkov, who is also our partner, we work with Open World, and they also support us and help us to travel to US. So what we do, we together with my colleagues, we did a great job. The exhibition dedicated to the Second World War was opened in Cleveland Public Library, and it was done in December 2020. Unfortunately, we couldn't make a big celebration of this event and invite a lot of people. We planned, but because of the restriction, it wasn't possible. It's still in the library, is a Cleveland Public Library. The article about this exhibition was published in the Cleveland newspaper, Russian Magazine. You can also see it here. And I think that's the main thing that we do. We started to work on our site, and you can. We are still working on it, but still it's our joint project, and we can make bridges like this because we share information here about our city, about our center, about the university, about city life. There are some, you can see about some information about the history, about the information for tourists, for teenagers. You can know about university life, about our center. You can see some photos of the Volgograd delegation who visited Cleveland. There is an interview of the person who signed the agreement between Cleveland and Volgograd. It was translated into English, and there are a lot of photos. I would definitely share the information about and share about the site, our contacts, and I think I'm going to put all our contacts, even the site, in the chat, and please free to contact with us. It's really, I'm happy to be introduced, to be the part of your network, and it will be. I will be very happy to see you in Volgograd as guests and to feel the hospitality of Russian people. So I hope that you can see the contacts of the center, our site, and our page in Facebook. It's rather in short, but maybe it will make you see what we have already done and what we are thinking to do. Actually, we launched the site, we organized the exhibition, and we are planning to launch the project between 4 cities. Volgograd, Cleveland, and Portland, Arkhangelsk. I know that Neil is here, and unfortunately, because of the COVID, we could not start this project last year, but I do believe that in 2021, we can meet and work not online through the teleconference, but meet together and connect 4 cities together. Thank you, Bill. I'll try to be short.
Okay, no, it was excellent. Thank you, Elena, very much. And one of the purposes of these gatherings, these roundtables, are to show examples of successful partnerships. And certainly you have done that. We've heard about some partnerships from people in passing during our conversations, but I wanted to really show off the wonderful partnership that you have with Cleveland, and also the importance of the Center of Public Diplomacy, which along with the city of Volgograd, and we have Maria Diva representing the mayor's office on here as well, that is recognized by the president, as well as the entire government, the Russian Federation, as the major advocates for the country for citizen diplomacy, for public diplomacy. So again, thank you very much. I see a number of people have requested the presentation. So if you want that, put it in the chat box, and I'll make sure that Elena sees that, and we'll send the presentation to you. So thanks very much. Excellent. Just
Thank you.
I've always enjoyed the hospitality of the city and of the professors and the students at the university. So thank you so much. Okay, I thought at this point we would make a few introductions here. If there's anybody that has someone who they've brought to the meeting, so to speak, and I'd please introduce that person to us. You can unmute. First, I'd like to recognize Svetlana Polyakova, who has the head of the International Department of Perm State University. Svetlana, you want
Yes,
to?
I'm here. I'm here. Can you see me?
And you were going to make an introduction for us. There you are.
Yes, I would really wanted to introduce the head of the Department of International Affairs of Perm State University, Vadim Gataulin, but I can't see him here today, and and I apologize for his absence. And I should say that Perm State University has been a very active participant of Sister City relationship of the city of Kiev and the city of Louisville, and actually our university-to-university partnership started with the help of Tatiana Grigorieva, who's also present here, and Natalia Nefedova, so the representatives of the city administration of Petersburg. And so I think that also I was invited by my good friends, colleagues, Michael Asabi and Professor Michael Asabi and Professor Adela Al-Makrabi, who are also here. So we have a very good bunch of friends and colleagues here at the meeting. And at some point, we would like to share our experiences with you all, because we have had a lot to say and to share the experiences.
All right, well, that's a wonderful offer, and we'll certainly take you up on that. And I think a key part of it has been the arrangement, the relationship between the university there, Perham State University, and the University of Louisville. And I know we have one of the professors from Louisville that's tuned in. Michael is on with us this morning as well. So might we have, if there are any other introductions to be made of people that were brought to the meeting for the first time, you can wave or whatever.
Oh, well, we did have the head of international programs for the College of Arts and Sciences participate at the beginning. She had to leave. So, but there seems to be some interest in the university to try and expand what we do with Professor Polyakova and Madam Grigorieva and Natalia to try and do more things, even though there is apparently, we're not finding a whole lot of financial support. But so we try and leverage it as best we can.
Yeah, well, thank you, Michael. I did get a copy of the MOU between the universities, and that was, I think, can serve as a model for other university to university arrangements. So it was good to talk with you yesterday. Anyone else want to make an introduction?
Bill, this is Stella Sheehan in St. Louis, and I just wanted to introduce Dmitry Karbargin, who is the president of our St. Louis Samara sister cities. So I think he's waving. And then also my colleague at the World Trade Center, Bomi Park, who is our project manager and who works on sister cities initiatives as well.
Well, very good. Yeah, he was the first one to sign in this morning. So Dmitry, do you have a couple of words you'd like to mention, say?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me. Really glad to see there are a lot of people interested in Russian-American relationships. And I'm glad that the pandemic didn't stop at that, but actually helped to generate some conversations. I wanted to learn more about the Great Rivers partnership that you mentioned in the beginning. So if you could tell us more, that'd be great.
Well, very good. I will take that as a cue to talk a little bit about that. Maria Diva is on with us this morning or this evening, as she was last time. And we're very happy to receive a letter from the mayor of Volgograd, to which we need to respond, and offering support and interest and endorsement of the concept of having a conference or forum, whatever, between the cities that are on the Mississippi River and on the Volga River, because each river that was mentioned is the longest river in our respective countries. So we could talk about not only the cities along the river, but also in the region more broadly. And so we do have to get back to the mayor, and Carol Lopez and I, our chair, are working on this, and we'll develop some more content for you. So if you happen to be interested, just put that into the chat box. So Dimitri, thank you for providing the entree to that topic. So
Sure. Thank you.
We do need to move that one along.
We are planning a
Okay.
trip this tomorrow in the summer, so if anything we can do to help will be great.
Oh, very good. Appreciate that very much. Going on to another topic here with our good partners, the Union of Russian Cities. We've been talking about having eventually later this year, early next year, a summit of municipalities as we had previously. This would be an in-person conference. So, but we'll defer that agenda topic to, 3 or 4 months from now, perhaps as we approach the summer, to see what the situation is. But coincident with that summit, I think, as offered by the Union of Russian Cities, is the concept of a young leaders, that is young elected officials between 25 and 35, that would be a part of that municipal summit. So we don't have anything to address this morning, but we haven't dropped the topic by any means. And Maria, did you want to say anything from Volgograd? Are you?
Well, probably only that I wanted to thank you and everybody who has been gathering for the online meetings in Zoom, because they're paving a great road into the future events, and maybe our Zoom meetings are what will help the round table during the dialogue on the Volga Forum come true, because I would be glad to see each and every one of you on these discussions dedicated to our great rivers.
Very good, thank you.
Our general idea is to have a round table during the forum in October, and in the preparation of the forum, for this forum, to organize some events, maybe not together, but at least in parallel, in Russia and in the United States. And judging by the question, we had an idea at least probably to try to involve our Chinese colleagues, because they are living on the Sungari River. But the idea for the forum is to concentrate on Russia and America. So if the other rivers are interested in joining, that would be excellent.
Very nice
It's
invitation.
just that Bill is interested in the Mississippi River. In Volgograd happens to be a member of the Volga Region Cities Association. So we already have a precedent in Russia with the organizations connecting those cities located on the Volga River. Do you have anything like this with Kama? Because that is something to look into.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw in our chat room a question if there is an interest in expanding to other river cities, like Ohio River or Kama River.
Well,
Perfect.
that would be, certainly they could participate in it. Those are great rivers, each of them. So, well, they certainly would be included in the river systems of the Volga and the Mississippi. So I'm glad that was put into the chat. Well, very good. I don't know if there's anyone else that wanted to say something about the great rivers. Anyone else? No? Okay. All right. So again, we will address the issue in a few months, as soon as we can, about the municipal summit and the offer that's been made for the young leaders segment of such a forum. Another item that I think we'll have to put off for a few months because of the activities we're in is this concept of trying to do some work at the state level, unless we can have someone, as is suggested by the ambassador, we try to have some region and state relationships developed. So let's see, I think Tatiana was raising her hand. So did you have a comment, Tatiana?
Yes, please. It is amazing how the same idea came to the mind of our counterparts in sister city of Louisville. I'm about the expanding of the Great Rivers idea project. So, you know, Perm stands on the Kama River and the Kama falls into the Volga. And our sister city of Louisville stands on the Ohio River and the Ohio falls into the Mississippi. So if we expand this project in such an interesting way, I think it would benefit from it. Please, our Volgograd colleagues, please think about that. And I didn't share this idea with our Louisville friends, but you see from the chat that the same idea came to their minds too.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity, great suggestion to really talk about the river systems and what it all meant for, as an integrated economy and culture. So thank you for bringing that forward, and that's how we'll proceed. One thing I also wanted to mention on our agenda is there's a lot of head steam going for the universities project. And we are having a meeting a week from Thursday on the 18th. And David Thomas has been working on this. We already have a draft that was negotiated between myself and Yuri at Moscow State University, a draft MOU, which we will present to the Executive Committee of Sister Cities International. So a draft MOU between the Russian Rectors Union and Sister Cities International. So that is moving along. Dave, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. We're still collecting names of universities that are interested in participating. So if anybody has a university contact, president particularly, college, community college, please send that information to me. We're putting it all in a giant Excel file.
Very good. Well, thank you. All right. So again, if you want to be invited to the meeting of the universities project on the 18th, put that into the chat. We had well over 50 people at our initial meeting last month, just on that project alone. So a lot going on. Okay. So let's see. If anybody has any ideas as we wind down here in our final moments, has ideas for speakers or projects, please put it in the chat or get in touch with me directly. And that way we will plan something for the next few meetings. Our next meeting of this group will be on the 9th of March, at the same time. We did have a request, and I've already got the link set up, which I'll send out, request that we start the meeting an hour earlier. So on the west coast of the US, we'd start at 8 a.m. And that would give some relief to our friends in the middle of Russia and in Siberia, so they can come on at 11 o'clock rather than midnight. So, but that'll start in April. Okay, well, I think that's about all I have. Any parting comments by anyone? You can unmute, and otherwise we'll just, now I guess, Elena, you have made me the host again. Right? Elena?
I'm sorry, Bill, just. Could
You did make me the host.
Чё он говорит?
Transferred me over as host. So I've got to turn off the recording.
Сделайте, пожалуйста, снова господина Бойрума, организатора мероприятия. Нужно, где список участников, рядом с его именем на 3 точки нажать, чтобы он смог
Хорошо.
свернуть нашу встречу.
Очень хорошо.
Just a
Okay,
minute.
just a minute. Okay. Yeah, those 3 dots. Well, thanks. Let's see. Okay, very good. I'm the host. So anyway, thanks all for participating, and thanks to our excellent speakers, which gave us great information and insights to what these relationships can be. So thanks all, and we'll see you on March the 9th. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye-bye, thanks.
Пока.
Goodbye.